Hello, hello, hello again. Good afternoon. I am beautiful. The movement. Okay, this is take two. I think these live mentoring sessions are going to have two takes just moving forward. All right. So, happy Wednesday to all of you. If you are watching live, definitely leave me a comment and say hello, hello, hello. And if you have been dealing with clients, then this is definitely the live for you. Yay! We got it to work.
Here.
Technology did not get us. Yes, good, good, good. Well, everyone watching, I am doing a live session today and we are talking about difficult clients. So definitely come on in, get comfy. Let's get to talking about it. Now, if you're watching the both of us here, and I will definitely allow Marlaya to introduce herself, and you don't know who I am Isha, the Carnivalista in Chief of the Carnivalista Lifestyle. I am a multiple six-figure business owner, and I am also a mompreneur to a busy 7-year-old, a wife, and a multitude of other things, best-selling author, but it's not about me today.
Yes,
It
please.
is about Marlaya Ross, and I will allow you to introduce yourself.
Well, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. My name is Marlaya Ross. I am the CEO and interior designer here at Studio 19 Interior Design, where we provide clients with new beginnings through thoughtful and intentional interior design.
Yes, yes. And I have worked with Marlaya for quite some time now. She's
Yes.
one of my business besties, and she has actually designed several rooms in my home at
Yes.
this point. And they are definitely my favorite rooms in the house. I have to tell you this. I do not have an interior design bone in my body. So this woman definitely got my stuff together where the house was concerned.
It was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
Yes, and it was a pleasure working with you as well. So, thank you so much for introducing yourself, Marlaya. And as you know, today we are going to be doing a laser mentoring session. So, tell me, what do you want to talk about today?
Yes. So I have been in business now for almost 5 years next
Mhm.
year. And thank you.
Yay!
Thank you. And, I've learned over time how to be intentional with the clients that I work with and have a screening process and ask the right questions during intake to make sure that clients are a right fit for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but of course, there's always those few clients that slip through the gates. And so right now I'm dealing with a client that initially I thought we were on the same page. I thought everything was going to work out like, the majority of my other projects. But it seems that we're running into a few bit of issues. And so I'm just curious about how to move forward. I want to keep the relationship intact. I don't want to leave a bad taste in anyone's mouth. And at the same time, I would also like to be, respected for my time and energy that I'm putting in for the project.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Okay, great. And I think that is definitely an issue, myself included, that many of us as business owners, and especially as women, we run into. Difficult clients exist all over the world.
Hmm.
However, I know this particular issue can be a hot button topic for female entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
How do you deal with clients where things are not going so well? And move forward, keeping the relationship intact, as you were saying. I think that's especially important to many of us as female entrepreneurs. So, okay, yay! All right. So the first thing, and I think it's probably best if we focus in on this specific client and not talk from a general perspective. So the
Sure.
first thing is, so your intention, because I feel everything starts with intention. So what would be the best case scenario of the intention that you would like to set with this client?
So, in terms of my intention, I would say that, it's the same as always. I really want to make sure that it's balanced. So, as a designer, I'm meant to come in and I have my education and I have my expertise, but I'm also here to make sure that the client's um, point of view is, being shown in the design. And so I really want it to just be a meeting of the minds. I would like compromise. Um, and I want open communication. And so my intention with that is just being authentic and genuine and just having that spirit of helping that I always have with any other client.
Yes. Okay, great. So that is a great intention. Balance, communication, mutual respect, making sure
Mhm.
that, your brilliant genius is respected. And
Thank
of course, they're, being a client. From a client perspective, they're being respected as well. All
you.
right,
Mhm.
awesome. I love that. Okay, good. So let's definitely keep that intention in mind as we move forward through the discussion.
Sure.
So tell me a little bit, before we even get into the plan, we need to know, like, brass tacks, what the issue really is.
Hmm.
So when you think about this client, what is happening that is um, not fulfilling the intention that you want to be working with this client, or the way that you want to be working with this client?
Hmm. So, to give context, normally when I'm working with a client, if it's a full
Mm-hmm.
service project,
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming in and I'm doing everything for the client. So, top to bottom design solution from the
Right.
ceiling to the floor. I'm coming in with a vision based on what you've expressed your design needs are, and I'm presenting that to you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then once you approve, I handle everything for you. So it's literally you don't have to lift a finger, which is really, really
Right.
wonderful.
Which is great. It's great.
Yes.
Just, little client plug there. It's
Yes.
great.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
Um, and so, but with that though comes a sense of collaboration, but also a sense of open-mindedness that's needed from the client because I am bringing my creativity, I'm bringing my own ideas. I might suggest something that may take you outside of your comfort zone. Um, and with this particular client, I feel that they had very strict and firm ideas of what they wanted. And it doesn't seem as though they are very open to the creativity that I'm bringing. And I feel like that's where we are coming with the conflict.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So the conflict is in terms of them not agreeing with your proposal, or um, your proposed design coming in, and they just really want to do what they want to do.
I would say both.
Mm,
So I have a design questionnaire that I give to clients and I ask, what
right.
style are you drawn to? What colors do you like, etc.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that my interpretation of that was not exactly what that client had envisioned.
Mm,
And whereas other clients are kind of willing to collaborate with me on that until we
mm-hmm.
find middle ground,
Mm-hmm.
this client is not willing to do that.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
mhm.
Gotcha. So does the lack of collaboration um, take you very far outside of your proposed design or your proposed vision? Or is it something that you may be able to compromise on as well?
Well, I've been willing to
Mm-hmm.
compromise. And at this point, I've done 3 different revisions to the design,
Mm-hmm.
which of course, all of that takes more time and energy.
Of course.
Um, and we still weren't able to meet eye to
Mm-hmm.
eye. And so they recommended that we move from a hands off from the client perspective, full service model to a more consultation based model.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's where we are now. I did
Mm-hmm.
respond to
Mm-hmm.
that and I agreed to that and I continue to give options.
Mm-hmm.
And I had not heard back from a couple of weeks. So that's where we
Mm.
are at the
Right.
moment.
Got you. Got you. Okay. So the other question that I have is, what is the written agreement between yourself and the client? Are there very clear parameters around, number of revisions, if there is no communication, and what that kind of looks like from a remedy standpoint?
There was not any um, communication about the revisions because, to be honest, this is the first time that a client has
Mm.
asked for this many. I
Yep,
will
and
say,
that's pretty normal. This is usually when this conversation happens, right? When it's
yes,
like, this is the first client that I've had that has done this. So what do I
yes,
do? Okay,
yes.
gotcha, gotcha.
But I will say, since that has happened, I did go back and I did add language to my contract about revisions.
Great.
So that is in there now.
Okay, and what about communication?
I do have a clause about communication.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, I think the problem is that it's not specific enough. I just mention if I
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're not communicating openly or within a timely manner, but I don't have parameters about what time frame I'm thinking of for that.
Okay, time frame and remedy or remediation. So if there is a breakdown in communication, time frame is important and definitely remediation is important as well. So if there is a breakdown in communication, for example, you haven't heard from this client in a couple of weeks, what happens? Do you have that in your current contract with them?
I do. I say
Okay,
that
great.
um, I believe the language is, if designer feels that client has not been communicating in an open and honest or in a timely manner, designer reserves the right to terminate the project. Um,
Okay.
so that's what I have in the contract. I didn't want to necessarily do that in this particular case,
Sure,
at this point.
sure,
So,
sure. What's your hesitation in doing that?
well, there's a few different things.
Sure.
One, it feels kind of like giving up or, like a sense of failure, that I'm
Mm,
hesitating with that. And
mm-hmm,
two, I really do want the client to be happy and I want the client to be satisfied and I want to feel like I've done everything in my power that I could to at least attempt that
mm-hmm.
before I feel like, walking away.
Absolutely. Okay, I completely get that. Okay, so I have a great overview of where we are right now and what kind of led you to this. So let's get into, we've already done intention. So my system is IPSS. So we go through your intention, we go through your plan, we go through systems, and we go through support. That will help you get to the resolution that you feel okay with. All right, so we've already set the intention. And the intention is, of course, to have mutual respect of one's abilities and all of that stuff, communication with the client, and you want them to be happy and you want to be also feel happy as well, right? As the one who is performing the work.
Yes.
So let's talk through the plan. So I see the plan taking two buckets, right? So the first bucket is your contracting, right? And as I said, it only takes one interesting, difficult client to come around and you will change that contract in a minute, right? You will be
Yes.
like, oh, this came up. Yeah, we need to put that in the contract. I can't tell you how many times my own, contracts with my clients have undergone revisions over, the 14 years that I've been in business, but it usually is the one client who comes along and you're like, oh, okay, we got to change that.
Yes.
So that's the first thing, definitely, I would think you should need to work on, like the contracting, being very clear in the communication, what the uh, remedy is going to be if there's a breakdown in communication or if there's a breakdown in responsiveness, all of that stuff. And feel free to be really specific with that,
Hmm.
especially like put a time limit on it.
Hmm.
Now, I know with interior design, if you're kind of left waiting on a design, you run the risk of items going out of stock and, all
Right.
of that stuff. And that even happened with, I'll even own up and say that happened with me a few times, right? Things sold out. And I was like, what do you mean it sold out? And then you had to go back and do something else, right? So
Yeah.
I'm going to tell them myself, it's okay. I don't, it's okay. I'll be
It
honest. I'm going to
happened.
tell them myself it happened, right? So yeah, whatever that time limit is, Marlaya, and drawing on your obvious vast background with all of this stuff, right? Like, is it 2 weeks? Is it 3 weeks? Is it a month? Whatever that looks like,
Hmm.
definitely be more specific where that is concerned, because we don't want another client to come along and this isn't tightened up, right?
Hmm.
So that's the first piece. The second piece, absolutely the revisions, right? 2 revisions, 3 revisions, whatever you are comfortable with the fee that you are charging the client, that is perfectly fine.
Hmm.
I feel like you also need to add in and I don't know if these are the right words, right? But a revision of service. So if a customer,
Hmm.
like in this case, decided to downgrade, what is the remedy from your taking your time and energy into consideration as the professional and the designer?
Hmm.
If they decide to downgrade their service level with you, there
Hmm.
needs to be a remedy in place for that, right?
Hmm.
because of course you taking on the client are already thinking, oh, I have the time to be able to service this person and do a full serve of my talents, gifts, and all that stuff. And then they kind of decide, don't want to do that. Now from your point of view, that's significant,
Hmm.
right? Because you've already cleared space, time, and energy to take on this full service client, and then they decide that they want to downgrade. And I
Hmm.
know you graciously agreed to do that. However, I think there needs to be a part in your contract that tightens that up, that says,
Okay.
okay, if you decide to downgrade, then, this is the remedy. And, there are many businesses who do this. Hotels is one that definitely comes to mind, where you have a contract with a hotel, you want 20 rooms and you only buy 15, and they're like, oh, well, we
Hmm.
may not be able to resell these 5 rooms. So this is the remedy that we will get as the, person who is providing these services or this product to you. How
Right.
does that sound?
That sounds good. I do have a question about it
Yeah.
though.
Yes.
I always have a
You
question.
always have questions. I was expecting you, girl. It's okay. Yes.
So, as you said, I did agree to downgrade the service.
Yeah.
And I do agree I need to add language about that into my contract. My question is, since the previous fee was commensurate with the previous full service, and now that we've
Mm-hmm.
downgraded, do
Mm-hmm.
you feel like I should maybe offer a refund or a discount or something to compensate for that downgrade in terms of my fees?
That's a great question. And I think those are terms that can be very clearly laid out, right? So take into account your average engagement with a client. So if it's 3 months, let's say, and I'm just throwing this number out, I don't know what that looks like. If it's 3 months, I'm thinking typically within the 0 to 30 day period, you at least have a design ready for the client. You've already done the consultation. Da, 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 da. You've already sourced items. This is what you can get. This is the color scheme and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
I would think if they wanted to downgrade within the 0 to 30 day time frame, that should be commensurate with a refund attached to that, right?
Mhm.
30 to 60, 60 to 90, beyond 90 days. I think that's something that you can tighten up in your contract. With
Okay.
this particular client, um, I think it depends on what's the difference, and I don't know if you're comfortable, disclosing that, and you may not if you don't want to, but what is the difference between full service versus consultation? And then also taking into mind the amount of work that you've already put into the project, right?
Yeah.
So I would think that some kind of a refund would be fair. However, we're also running into a non-communicative state as well, right?
Mhm.
So that can get a little bit messy. So my recommendation with this particular client, let's put the contract aside. There's a few things that you can do from a contract perspective, say 0 to 30 days, that whole scenario that I was going through. And again, whatever works for your
Yeah.
business. But
Yeah.
with this particular client, I don't think it's a terrible idea to offer some kind of a partial refund,
Mhm.
depending on the difference between the full service and between the consultation that they have decided to downgrade to. I think
Mhm.
that's perfectly fine. I think it would show a measure of good faith as well.
Mhm.
However, the communication needs to be, yes, there is a refund. However, I have not heard from you for this period of time. I followed up on these days. um, if you would like, not even if you would like to proceed, because you're not really giving them a choice. They do need to communicate with you. I'm just thinking through it in my head. um, yeah, my recommendation would be to send a letter with a deadline that says, if I do not hear from you by this date, then I will have to consider terminating our contract and our agreement, right? Because again, you can't do this in a vacuum. You need to have the client's feedback.
Yes.
I think offering the partial refund will take the sting out of the possible termination of contract, right? Because that
Mhm.
can come across as harsh. And the other thing I would really recommend to you, Marlaya, is calling, right?
Mhm.
I love to pick up the phone and talk to people,
Yes.
as opposed to just sending that in an email. So I would recommend that you call the client, get them on the phone, talk to them about the refund, and get a feel of where they're at. Have you seen the choices that I've sent recently? I haven't heard from you in a couple of weeks. What's going on, and try to talk to them. And then at that point, if they're still considering, or if they haven't had a chance to look at it or whatever, you can then say, hey, in order for me to carry through and provide you with the best possible service, I need to hear from you on this date. And it could be a week from whatever day that you talk to the person.
Hmm.
And if I don't hear from you by then, I will have to consider terminating our agreement, because it's not enabling me to be as effective as a service provider to you as I can be.
That's wonderful.
That would be
That's wonderful.
my recommendation. And then follow up in writing, always follow up in writing, everything that you discussed, reiterating what the timeline and the deadline is going to be, and then go accordingly from there. But yeah, I really think it's fair if you did a partial refund with that person. Yeah, and bless and release, right?
Yes.
Plus and release. And who knows, they may get on the phone with you and be like, oh, life has been crazy. Yes, I can definitely meet the deadline, and you can continue the working relationship with the partial refund.
Hmm.
But it may not be, right? And unfortunately, we will have unhappy clients. It is a
Yes.
part of being in business.
Yes, it is.
It is a
Can't be
part of being
perfect.
in, you cannot be perfect. Exactly. Okay, so how do you feel about that plan? I know we talked through the two different buckets, definitely updating and modifying your contract. And then the second piece is the specific client having that conversation, following up in writing, and then moving forward from there. How does that plan feel?
That feels really good. That feels good. I
Okay.
feel like
Okay.
there are things that I can control from my end,
Mm-hmm.
and I am leaving space for them to express what they need and, try to find a solution on how to move forward, which is really what I want to do. So that sounds
Okay, okay, great. So let's talk through systems that are going to move forward with this energy and this momentum, and definitely keep all of it going. So
good.
from a system standpoint, we're going to have the new contract, the new updated contract, right, that you're going to give to all of your new clients as you get them on. What other systems can we put in place to support you? Because I know going through a difficult client can be tough. Is there another business bestie that perhaps you can talk to, to talk you through it? Depending on how the client responds, is there someone that you can call on to kind of talk you through it?
Yes. Yeah, I am in connections with a bunch of different designers.
Okay.
So I can reach out to them and get their feedback as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay, great. And of course, prayer, right? Let's not
Mhm.
forget about prayer.
Mhm.
Let's lean on that as a system as well, right? During your morning prayer, pray for guidance, pray for support, pray for clarity as you move forward with this client, and strength too, because it's hard. It is
It
hard when
is.
you get clients who are difficult, and who are making you lose sleep at night, or however that manifests for us as female entrepreneurs. It's hard,
Hmm.
because we do want our clients to be happy. And we do also want to serve in the best way possible. So
Yeah.
when you have a client who is not enabling you to serve in the best way possible, it can be very, very challenging. So
Yeah.
definitely, lean on your prayer and your faith, Marlaya, going through this. I'm a pray for you too. So
Thank you. Thank
you're
you.
welcome. You're welcome. All right. And talking through the support portion, we did talk through, I feel like having a circle of people that you can talk with and you can confide in and get advice is both a system and it's a support, because, you have people who will check in on you, how did everything go with that client, and kind of go forward from there.
Yes.
What other kinds of support do you think that you will need going through this time?
Hmm. I think it's just what you said. I think it's just having people around me who um I can talk to about the situation, like a designer,
Hmm.
fellow designers who are in the industry, who are in the business, who know what's going on. I
Yes.
also have my husband who is very straightforward with how much he loves and values me. So he is someone that, will give it to me straight as well. And
Yes.
then, business besties like you, um,
Hmm.
who can, have a kind of objective, more solutions based perspective as well. I think having all of those frameworks will be helpful.
Yes, wonderful. May I suggest another support mechanism as well?
Yes.
And one that definitely works for me, journaling really helps.
Mhm.
I find getting out of my own head, and of course, talking to people is great. But
Mhm.
sometimes there are certain things that we don't feel 100% comfortable talking to people about,
Mhm.
and journaling just at least helps me to get the thoughts out that are swirling around and around out of my head,
Yeah.
and definitely onto um, paper. And I can I also talk to myself while I'm writing. It's weird, but I talk to myself while I'm writing. So it's kind of
Yeah.
like I had this thought, well, is that true?
Yeah.
I don't know. And you kind
Yeah.
of go along. So I would definitely recommend journaling. That's been a really big help when I have had difficult client situations as well. Whether it's people who weren't 100% happy with the travel services that were provided, or something didn't go as planned on a trip,
Mhm.
that definitely happens. Or, if I'm mentoring somebody and it didn't go according to plan, it helps when I
Mhm.
get out of my own head, because we can tend to obsess, right, over the one situation, and what was a little thing like this became this full-blown thing. I'm going to lose my house, I'm going to lose my marriage, I'm going to lose everything, oh my goodness, because of this one client. That can happen, right? It can just
Yeah.
become a snow blizzard, and when it was really just one little flake of snow. So
Yes.
I would definitely recommend journaling as well.
Thank you. I will do that. I
You're
will.
welcome. You're welcome. So are we complete today? Did you have any other questions? Because I know you always have questions. What other questions you got?
No, that was it. I mean, that's really been, the biggest thing that has been weighing on me recently.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really grateful for this time. I'm grateful for the energy that you're putting into this and the work that you're doing. And I really appreciate you pouring into me as always, but especially today. I really appreciate it.
You are so welcome, Marlaya. Thank you so much for being live with me today. And thank you for watching, everyone. If you're catching the replay, put hashtag replay in the comments. And I will also add some links as to how you can get your own free laser mentoring session. I will add that in the description to this as well. And that is it for today. As always, I am hugging you up and holding space for you to be amazing. I hope you all have a really great day. Thanks, Marlea.
Thank
Bye.
you.